Folks, welcome into That Betting Show. March 26, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. Major League Baseball coming up this week. Sweet 16, Elite 8, a lot of stuff to get to. He's Teddy Savransky. Give him a follow at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Right Side VP. Teddy, before we get into retirements that are happening all over the place, some injury information that broke late last night with the Portland Trail Blazers. Yusuf Nurkic goes down, and if anybody saw the injury live, if you saw the replays, once was plenty enough in this one, Teddy. That's a big injury in the West, because as we look right now, Teddy, 40-1 to win the West for the Trailblazers and 60-1 to win the title.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to put too much into one injury, but that injury ended Portland's season. I mean, it flat out did. And yes, I was watching it live. I had to play on the Blazers last night. They had a chance to cover in double OT. Didn't get there, unfortunately. But, I mean, that injury, remember, C.J. McCollum's already hurt. And while his injury isn't long-term, the Nurkic injury is. And he's an absolute impact player for the Blazers. Their season ended last night, and they know it. And the locker room was dead after the game. There may be good opportunities to fade Portland following this injury, both here in the regular season and potentially in the postseason as well.
Yeah, too nasty injury, Ted. I mean, we saw it there with Paul George, who trying out for, I guess, the team USA basketball team right there in Las Vegas. And then you also had the injury with Gordon Hayward last year. It takes a long time. And we're talking about before with Paul George and Gordon Hayward, guys that are guards, small forwards. Now you're looking at a center there. Tough injury for Portland moving forward here. We keep an eye on it to see what happens in the playoffs coming down. Teddy, just because we don't have NCAA basketball, we're taking a little bit of a breather the next couple of days here. What a perfect time for retirements. But as we see two big retirements in different sports, one in MMA, one in the NFL, Rob Gronkowski hangs it up after a 9-year career in the NFL on his way to the Hall of Fame. Conor McGregor, who's done this before, and boxers and MMA guys do this all the time, saying he's hanging it up as well. In both of these instances, Teddy, do I smell an agent in there looking to get his foot in the door for a better deal somewhere?
Maybe, maybe not, because both of these guys have enough of a following to move on to other projects without putting their health at risk every single week or every single fight with McGregor. I mean, Gronk has, they're talking about him as a senator or his career in show business. He has other things he can do besides football, and he's made a whole lot of money playing football. All that being said, this is a big deal for the Patriots. Gronkowski has been the biggest playmaker in that offense for the better part of the last decade. Tom Brady's going to miss his safety valve. When it comes to McGregor, I'm sorry, we all know what's going to happen. McGregor's going to come back. This is not the end of Conor McGregor. He'll come out of retirement and fight however many times. That's what boxers do. That's what fighters do. When the payday's there, they find a way to get back into shape. All that being said, I'm sorry to see McGregor go. McGregor-Mayweather fight is one for the ages, one that I will always remember because I was in a room with so much money. I've never been in a room with more money on one guy in a fight. It was a lot of fun that night, and to see McGregor go down was something that I enjoyed. We'll miss him, but he'll be back.
Teddy, Drew Rosenhaus said, don't take too much into this now. Guys change their minds all the time. We are betting people here, especially on That Betting Show. If we took a look at both of these guys, I think it's pretty simple to say McGregor's probably more likely to come back, but we set an odds on there. I think Gronkowski's going to hang it up. I think he has a bright future, whether it be in the WWE, whether it be in movies or game shows or whatever it would be. Conor McGregor, on the other hand, I think he's going to use this as a way to wedge in, because if you have the upper hand like McGregor does, I believe, over the UFC, you use it to more shoehorn in there. But when I say this, it can't, minus 1,000 that McGregor comes back, Teddy? Got to be the favorite that he returns somewhere, whether it be boxing or MMA, right?
Sure. I mean, McGregor's chalk. I don't know if it's minus 1,000. But on the other hand, are you going to take the other side? One would expect that Conor McGregor will be involved in some type of a physical altercation in a ring at some point down the road. As for Gronk, the guy's been paid. The guy's got plenty of other opportunities. He doesn't need to play football. I'm not saying Gronk to return has to be a dog. And of course the agent wants him to stick around. The agent's getting paid when he gets paid. Yeah, he might come back, Rosenhaus says. Of course he does. That's his job, to say, my guy might come back, to keep him visible, even though he's not likely to be playing for the Patriots in 2019.
Wild night in the NBA last night, Teddy. Seems like, most, and I don't even know if the NBA players and the coaches and the front office are in the same mode I am. Just can we get to the playoffs so we get to some meaningful games? The Sixers go down to Orlando. Ben Simmons gets the sniffles. The line moves from, opening at Sixers -3 to -2 to the Magic. And the Magic absolutely slay the Philadelphia 76ers last night. Another game last night, OKC taking on the Grizzlies. OKC opens up at 5.5, goes to 7.5. They get trounced. I need some NBA playoffs, Teddy. I need to see these teams care again here.
Yeah, it's still a couple of weeks away. So you might need them, but they ain't coming yet. Most teams still 8 or 9 games remaining in the regular season. We'll get there. But unfortunately, from a who's going to make the playoff standpoint, there's not all that much drama in the NBA this season. The books got really burned on the Philadelphia-Orlando game. As you mentioned, heavy Magic money. And the Magic, an impressive homestand. They've kept themselves alive in the playoff chase and have a real good opportunity to make it even closer if they can win in Miami tonight. They've been taking money in early betting action. The Grizzlies, they don't have Mike Conley last night. It doesn't matter. The Thunder are just not playing good basketball right now. And it was very clear. They took a ton of money last night. The books cleaned up in that ball game. And, of course, let's not forget Trevor Booker, the first player in NBA history to score 50-plus points in a game where his team lost by 30. Trevor, congrats. You got a little, had a big shooting night, but the Phoenix Suns right now just aren't giving a whole lot of competitive effort. Certainly not on the highway against good defensive teams like Utah.
Yeah, we've talked about the Portland Trailblazers, obviously, with the Nurkic injury going down in overtime. 148-144 final, -6. -6, Teddy, actually had a shot there in the overtime, didn't it?
Yeah, in the second overtime. I was live, and then Nurkic got hurt, and that was the end of that. I would have loved to have stole that one last night. Unfortunately, we didn't. The Nets were the right side. They got the money.
Teddy, MLB First Look here today. The best part about it is we're heading towards opening day. It's on Thursday. So what's that mean? Me and Teddy doing double headers today, baby. Let's take a look first. Arizona Diamondbacks 82-80 in 2018. The Diamondbacks currently sitting, Teddy, 66-1 on a ticket to win the 2019 World Series. Now, 82 games winning last year, 75.5 is set for this year as their team total. A.J. Pollock, Paul Goldschmidt, Patrick Corbin out. But they do have some capable pieces here, Teddy, to try to fill in. David Peralta, Ketel Marte, Steven Souza are going to line the outfield. Wilmer Flores comes over from the New York Mets. We'll see what takes place. Also losing Corbin at the top of that rotation. Zach Greinke still the ace there. Robbie Ray, Godley, Weaver, and Kelly rounded out. And they do have a decent back end of the bullpen to set it up with Bradley and Hirano. Is the team as capable as it was last year? Probably not. You would like to see them reload with Goldschmidt, with Pollock, but just not in the cards there for a team that's trying to be financially sound in the NL West, which those teams are ramping. I mean, look at the Padres are even spending money. What are we taking a look at here in 2019 for those Diamondbacks, Teddy?
Well, look, you trade away Paul Goldschmidt, let him go, which is, he's a franchise icon. He's a perennial MVP candidate. He is the face of the franchise. Bye-bye, Goldschmidt. Patrick Corbin, bye-bye. A.J. Pollock, bye-bye. Is that the 3 best players on the team? Mm-hmm. So you say, all right, well, we got rid of the 3 best players on the team, but we're not rebuilding. Okay. And look, it's not a hopeless roster, which makes me think that if things go bad for Arizona, they'll be trading at the dealers at the deadline. When you have Zach Greinke and Robbie Ray and Zach Godley as your 1, 2, 3 starters, you're going to get people out. That's a good trio. You talked about the bullpen that you're like, I'm with you. It's not a hopeless bullpen whatsoever. And, Archie Bradley, great pickup, Greg Holland to close. There are things to like about Arizona's pitching staff. The lineup, I don't know they're going to score a whole lot of runs. And in this division, you better be scoring runs. And Arizona, a team that was mildly profitable a year ago, a team that certainly, played for extended stretches of the season. It's a pretty good team. They're a sub-500 squad this year. The markets know it already. And with the pitching staff they have, with Greinke, Ray, and Godley at the top of the order, top of the rotation, I should say, they're going to be priced fairly expensively in a handful of games, which makes me think D-backs, not necessarily a team I'm in love with, unless they get some good starts out of their 4th and 5th starters, which is very possible. There's some nice prospects lurking in that potential rotation.
Hey, Ted, this brings up a pretty good point there that you raised. If we take a look at the Diamondbacks total of 75.5, and we're a team that's, look, they're not going for it, obviously, moved around some key pieces, and they're saying to their fans in their front office, let's sort of see what happens. Usually, to me, that's a white flag being raised. If you're taking a look at betting a season total over, this team, to me, Teddy, more likely, as you said, to trade at the deadline than re-up and re-amp up at the deadline. Going into betting team totals, does that factor in immediately right away off the bat? We say, look, 75.5. If this team's not competitive, we might just raise the flag and fire sale and really drop down in August and September. How's that look for you when betting team totals?
That's exactly the point. And whenever I'm looking at MLB team totals, I'm going in with an assessment. This team's a buyer at the deadline or this team's a seller at the deadline. Now, if I don't have that assessment, I probably don't bet the team total. But for Arizona, the first thought process is that this team's more likely to be selling at the deadline, which makes me very reluctant to get involved with an Arizona Diamondbacks wager over their 75.5 wins.
Back end of the doubleheader today, Teddy. Those Colorado Rockies in the thin air of Coors Field in 2018 posted a 91-72 record coming into this season. Teddy, 25-1 to win the 2019 World Series. Rockies win total set at 84. Locked up Nolan Arenado to a long-term mega deal. Daniel Murphy comes over to play first base. Obviously, this lineup is built to hit at Coors Field. They always do that. Crazy scores. We've seen it time and time again. The one thing that you sort of try to give hope to is their pitchers usually, or hopefully usually, can handle that thin air of Coors Field. Take a look at Freeman, Marquez, Sensatella, Anderson, and Gray. Hope to be up to the task. Wade Davis, who had 43 saves in 2018, looks to lock down the late innings. This team is fun. Now, Teddy, personally, gambling-wise, I haven't bet very many games in Coors Field just because of 7-4 leads, 7-2 leads, 7-3 leads evaporate in late innings. Always a tough team for me to cap, Teddy, with those Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, I mean, a 91 win team last year lines is an 84 win team this season. And there was a lot of things that, broke out really well for the Rockies last year. The best road record in club history, 44-38 on the highway. They made a bunch of money for their backers away from home. They struggled early at Coors. They closed out. They had like an 8-game home losing streak. After that home losing streak, they go 36-14 at home at Coors down the stretch. The best winning percentage in the NL at home. So they did well on the road. They did well at home. I don't know if that carries over to 2019. You talk about some of the bats. Obviously, you bring, you sign Arenado. He's been paid now. Elite. Trevor Story last year at shortstop. He led the major league, led the National League in extra base hits. 40 doubles, 30 dingers, 25 stolen bases. He was a monster a year ago. Became the third shortstop to do that. Last guy, Ernie Banks. Before that, Honus Wagner. So, impressive stuff from Story. I got a lot of questions about this pitching staff. John Gray, who was brilliant when he was good, but in his 9 losses, an ERA of 11 and 10 no decisions in an ERA of 5.6. He had his moments, but he wasn't stellar. Can Freeland, Ken Marquez, Ken Anderson, Ken Senzatella live up to some of the promise they showed last year? If they can, Rocky's probably going to be decent again. If they can't, this team's going to take a tumble, and Colorado's likely to be a sub-500 squad, and once again, money losers for their backers.
2 days till opening day. Tomorrow we'll pull another doubleheader right here on That Betting Show with me and Teddy. Let's take a look at some overnight line movers, Teddy. SBRodds.com, the single best place on the internet, on the interwebs to check those lines that are moving 24/7, 365. Coming home, Teddy, the Nuggets return home after a 3-1 road trip. Now opens up at 2-11.5. Now down to 210 this morning, resettling there at about 210.5. Pistons versus Nuggets -7.5. Moneyline split plus 256, -315 tonight.
Yeah, and money coming for Denver, money coming for under. Nuggets are coming off an awful performance at Indiana. They gave up 62 points in the first half. They gave up 62 points in the second half. Head coach Mike Malone, I felt like this was an embarrassing effort on our part. This time of year to go into anybody's building and be down by 41 points, there's nothing you can say about it. It was an embarrassing effort by all of us. Talking about they had a 3-1 on the road trip. 3-1 overall from the result standpoint is a pretty good road trip. But to be honest, even in those wins, there was a lot left to be desired in terms of how we played. Sunday, the inconsistent basketball reared its ugly head for 48 minutes. It feels like a circle the wagon spot for Denver off that shoddy showing. The markets expecting a little bit better defensive intensity from the Nuggets than what we saw in their last outing at Indiana.
Teddy, how about the Lakers getting a little bit of love tonight? Offshore Chris opens up the Lakers at a pick 'em and rises to -2, but also interesting, while we were working up the script, the over-under was set at 232.5, now set at 236.5, so the early bird gets the worm in that one. A 4-point line move, money line split, plus 110, -130 for those Lakers. Can they get the W tonight?
Well, the total move has a lot to do with what we've seen from the Wizards on the defensive end of the court of late, which is absolutely nothing. Washington's been, let's see how many points Bradley Beal can score, and then maybe the other team will miss some wide open looks. But it has not been a good post All-Star break stretch for the Washington Wizards, and they've really slumped of late, which explains why the Lakers are taking money and why the Lakers are favorites in this ballgame, despite their struggles. LA coming off a win. They haven't won back-to-backs since before the All-Star break, 2 consecutive games. Although they are, let's give credit where credit is due. JaVale McGee has been a monster for the Lakers of late. Last 2 games, 33 points and 20 boards against the Nets, 17 points and 14 boards against the Kings, 11 block shots combined in those 2 ball games. If I'm playing here, I'm laying. I don't want the dog in this one.
Teddy, watch what you bet here on this segment. This is going to be a good one here, because usually we have national television, CBS, Fox Sports, whatever you might think, or, ESPN. This one, Teddy, we're going to go down to watchcit.com. And you say, Donnie, what the heck are we doing with watchcit.com? This is one of the more interesting lines that I've seen all season, maybe in the past couple seasons, Teddy. Wisconsin, Green Bay, and FIU are going to tee it up in the CIT. The line is now sitting, Teddy, as a total of 179 in this one. If you take a look at some things here on the ticker, FIU is 17-12 against the spread in all line games, 11-6 against the spread as a dog, and 8-6 against the spread in all road games. Wisconsin, Green Bay at home, 17-15 against the number, 7-5 as a favorite, 8-5 against the spread at home. 179, Teddy. This is like the NBA totals in like the late 1990s here.
Yeah, exactly. Higher than some of the NBA totals in the late 90s.
Yes.
Right here. And this should be a lot of fun. It has the potential to really be an entertaining game. Both teams in a little bit dicey spots. Green Bay thought they were going to be traveling, and then everyone ahead of them they were going to travel to lost. So guess what? We get a home game. It'll be exciting to play another game at home and a tournament atmosphere and everything. I didn't think we'd be at home this time, but there have been a couple of teams that they were planning on hosting that got beat. Here's the key, all right? Florida International. For Wisconsin Green Bay, talking about FIU. This time of year, there's not much a team can do on the offensive end that you probably haven't seen. Now, their style of play, talking about FIU, where they're going to come and trap us and press us for 40 minutes, we don't see that a lot in our league. It's an interesting style. Hopefully, the advantage for us is that we'll be playing at home. So here's Green Bay saying, we weren't expecting a home game, and we're playing a style that we're not really used to seeing. That's a concern for me. Then again, you look at Florida International, they just got their 20th win, and that's what they were going for, was let's get to 20 wins. The second most wins in school history. We're fired up. To be down 9 points with 10 minutes to play and come back against a team with 24 wins shows our heart. Now they're going to travel. And again, there's another team that's been on the road and on the road and on the road. Not an easy travel spot for the dog in this one. Really hard game from a side standpoint, but no surprise if it is wildly entertaining. Both these teams are going to push the pace. If you play, maybe look at the over in this one. I'm expecting a shootout. Unfortunately, so are the markets.
Yeah, Wisconsin, Green Bay, Teddy, not sure if they were going to get a home game. I bet you if you asked them about a couple of days ago and say, well, do you want to play at home here in Wisconsin, Green Bay? Do you want to go down and play in FIU? Might be at FIU, one of the more entertaining home courts. And the reason being is not really because the fans. They got palm trees, the sand, the beach on the court. Wild situation down there. Should be even more wild tonight, Teddy. And you know what? Why don't we keep it in the state of Wisconsin? Not a big game in the NBA. Rockets, Bucks should give us a showdown tonight. -4. There's -3.5 now currently showing up on the board. Total at 224.5 and 224, depending on where you're shopping at. The Rockets 34-37 on the season against the number. But how about the Bucks, Teddy? Making you money consistently here. 44-28 on the season. 38-26 as a favorite. 21-14 against the number as a home favorite. And how about this? You like a hot team coming down the stretch? 9-4 against the number in the month of March.
Well, that's just it. I mean, Milwaukee all year long has been Bucks covering, Bucks covering, Bucks covering. The role has been irrelevant. They've been a good point spread team on the road. They've been a point spread team at home. They've been a point spread team as dog. They've been a good point spread team as short favorites. They've been a good point spread team as bigger favorites. Anyone who's been betting against Milwaukee on a regular basis this year is likely to be poorer now than they were when they started that process. You have to love Giannis. You have to love this matchup. The two leading MVP candidates, two teams that could potentially meet in the finals this season. But Giannis, who had to sit a couple of games last week because of a right ankle sprain, there's some talk that people want him to sit. Giannis doesn't want to sit. Here's his quote. As a player and as a person, I cannot have that mindset that whenever something is wrong, my first thought is to rest. A lot of other people are telling me to rest. And I'm going to keep having my mindset, play through the pain, push forward, and do whatever it takes for my team to win. And when it's something really, really bad, I know they're going to do a great job pulling me out from the team and telling me to rest. Of course, it's a Bucks team that is still playing without Malcolm Brogdon, an impact injury that has not been reflected in the point spread. Pau Gasol's out for the rest of the regular season. Tony Snell got hurt on Sunday, which could well be something of a problem for a team that, again, not an injury that's going to affect the point spread, but an injury that's likely to matter. As for obviously this Rockets team has been really good of late. A couple of blowout wins in the last two games. Blew out the Pelicans last time out. 8 games remaining. Rockets are third in the West. Boy, I don't like this quote from Mike D'Antoni. Quote, third place is where we want to be. If I'm playing, I'm laying.
Teddy, real quick before we get out of here, it's never too early to talk NFL. We're winding down our Major League Baseball preview here on That Betting Show. Before you know it, Teddy and I are going day by day, knocking down each NFL team. But how about this? The league opens up and says, you know what? Instead of having the Super Bowl champion at home, we're going to have Bears and Packers to kick off the 100th season in NFL history. It's an interesting move because, we talked about Spygate before. Now we have Spagate. Take a little bit of that luster off that. Say, you know what? Let's put the old franchises out there. We'll give the Patriots their Sunday night home opener. Sort of deflect a little bit. Win-win situation for the NFL here, Teddy.
Yeah, probably win-win for the league. Although, from a fan standpoint, you're expecting to see the Super Bowl champs open on Thursday night. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Patriots didn't get any ratings for their last Super Bowl win says, maybe better hold off on New England. Let's get some of the marquee franchises. Every decision the NFL makes, understand what it's about. There's only one thing it's about: money. This is a money decision. They expect that their ratings for the Bears and the Packers will be higher than their ratings for whoever the Patriots are playing on the first weekend of the season. Hence the decision. Do I approve? Sure, it's a good game. Looking forward to it. The clock's already ticking on the NFL season.
Yep, pretty soon those lines will be out there. All about the money. That's what we're about here on That Betting Show. Thanks for tuning in from March 26, 2019. Your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs right here at sportsbookreview.com. He's Teddy Savransky. Give him a follow once again on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. Tune in tomorrow. We'll get you set up for those Sweet 16 games. Another doubleheader in Major League Baseball. Enjoy the night, cash your tickets, and we'll see you tomorrow.